So welcome to our presentation. My name is Maya Gislason, and I'm here with my colleagues Angel Kennedy and Katie Botter. And we're really excited to share with you a project titled A Patient-Led Process for Developing an Equine-Assisted Psychotherapy Program for Children and Youth with Eating Disorders. So this was a program that is a joint between Simon Fraser University, Fraser Health, and other partners. And what we were doing is focusing on equine-assisted psychotherapy. What that is, it's a relational therapy that brings patients and families, therapists together with horses and horse experts. And we focus on working on supporting an individual's health and well-being. And EAP, as we call it, is a really special approach because it creates a unique environment where patients are able to work on, recognize, reflect, and even shift their thoughts and behaviors. And it's an opportunity to take lessons learned and skills developed in clinical settings and apply them within non-clinical contexts and in a relationship-based way. Our research project had four main goals. We were working in a patient-informed and patient-centered way to develop knowledge about tools and processes around how to develop an equine-assisted psychotherapy program that would support the treatment of children and youth with eating disorders. And we're particularly interested in working with patient perspectives and drawing on practices of patient-centered work to try and address challenges and opportunities about how to create a program that would particularly serve children in the Fraser Health region. And we wanted to also operationalize the principles of patient-oriented and patient-led research throughout our research process. So how we were imagining our study, how we gathered data, how we analyzed it, and how we applied that learning to our project within the Fraser Health region. And we wanted to do a really good job so that we could scale up the project in order to try and take our pilot findings and apply them not only to future research and study, but also to better program delivery within that setting. And we wanted to not only share this work with other researchers, with clinicians, with patient partners, but also with the community, including people in the equestrian community. And so we took this approach to developing our knowledge exchange approaches. Our project began as the brainchild of a wonderful colleague, Dr. Joan Fujiwara, who's a clinician and has specialized in treating eating disorders in children and youth for a long time. And over the course of her career, she'd observed that both clinically, but also in her work deeply embedded in the equestrian community, that the human-horse connection was very powerful. And so out of her interest, we began with some very small planning grants offered by the Fraser Center to begin to articulate project objectives, make connections with other partners and so on, and eventually received a pilot grant from Michael Smith. So I'd like to pass things over to Katie now to talk a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of things.
Thanks, Maya. So yeah, being a patient-oriented project, our youth patient partners' voices were placed at the center and made foundational to the entire project. But I really want to highlight how instrumental they were to the planning phase and for guiding the overall project design. From the start, we met in smaller team meetings with myself as a research coordinator and another research assistant. And these meetings occurred more regularly so that we could build a solid foundation of trust. These meetings gave us the chance to build our relationships and get to know one another. And we would do this through virtual icebreakers and other participatory activities to stay engaged. We also talked about all the intersecting reasons that brought us to this project and this work to find that important common ground. And holding these smaller team meetings was a deliberate decision as it enabled the youth patient partners to feel comfortable in larger team meetings with academics and clinicians, as they were already familiar with members of the team and the research process, and they were really encouraged to consider themselves as experts with important contributions. Ultimately, these engagement sessions with the youth patient partners led to the overall development of the EAP program's 3 core themes, as well as our interview guide, knowledge exchange plan, and a community assessment tool. And next slide, please, Angel. So the community assessment tool was another method we used to engage youth patients. We were interested in understanding generally the value of an EAP program for youth and whether there was interest in the geographical area where we were planning to hold it. And it was decided that we would develop an engagement survey with questions like, is a therapy program with horses something you would enjoy? It was fairly simple and brief, but we really wanted to use it to provide a platform for patients to further express their needs and opinions by having youth design it. So the clinician on the team invited youth at the Fraser Health Eating Disorders Clinic to share their designs for the engagement survey. And what you see here are just a few examples of what the youth created. And this experience really emphasized for us the need to engage youth patients in research using a variety of methods, including ones shown to be suited to youth, such as art-based methods. And next slide, please, Angel. We also use virtual tools. Using a Google Doc, the team conducted a blue sky thinking exercise with the patient partners. They were asked, if you were designing your ideal program to support children and youth with eating disorders, what would it look like? And their answers ultimately formed the basis of the EAP pilot program design. And these are the themes that you see here. The patient partners discussed the importance of understanding the various relationships in their lives, including relationships to their families, friends, and therapists. So our first core theme became EAP and relationships. By relating to horses, they felt it would encourage them to engage and heal their relationship to their self, their body, food, and to therapy as well. And you can see in the text here in green, our patient partners' words, where they both mention the importance of building strong relationships while healing from eating disorders. And as a foundational theme, relationships also influence the others, including leadership and development, which is the second theme. The youth patient partners really emphasized the importance of healing by taking on responsibilities. And one way of doing so was to engage in leadership roles and development opportunities. This theme is about patients taking a bigger role in their therapy to really apply what they learned about relationships and themselves and use that to build themselves up and affect others, for example, by acting as mentors to their peers, and ultimately promote self-confidence. So finally, where theme 1 and 2 promote self-awareness, self-confidence, and self-actualization, the third theme reflects the patient partner's feedback that it was important to see themselves as integral members of a community. Through a nuanced understanding of relationships and practical applications through leadership development, theme 3 is about giving back and investing in themselves and those around them to create lasting and healthy environments. As mentioned, these themes contributed to our understanding of programs such as this could be run to contribute to the health and wellness of youth and children with eating disorders. And I'll just pass it over to Angel to talk about how these themes were operationalized.
Thanks, Katie. We originally planned a 6-week pilot, which we were going to hold in person from May to June 2020. It would involve 6 1.5-hour sessions with our partners at the Pacific Riding for Developing Abilities, or PRDA, with 8 children and youth ages 9 to 19 years old who are accessing treatment for eating disorders through programs supported by the Ministry of Child and Family Development in the Fraser Health region. However, in response to the restrictions imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic, we were unable to actually bring children and youth together for the in-person EAP session. So through various imagining sessions among our team members, we started brainstorming ways that we could still get individuals to be able to imagine being in an EAP session and receive feedback without actually having to bring people together physically. To do this, our team of clinicians, health researchers, patient co-leads, health administrators, and equine specialists teamed up with the PRDA, as well as a family that rides at the PRDA and a videographer to record a 30-minute video of the 3 EAP activities we had imagined conducting in person. So shown here are some screenshots from the video that we recorded. Here you can see the PRDA staff, a mental health practitioner, and the participating family. The video started with a safety demonstration. This was followed by activities representing the relationship, leadership development, and empowerment themes identified by the patient co-leads. The first activity was having new participants watch ponies interact with one another and observe their behaviors. This activity represented the relationship theme. The second activity included having the participants take turns leading a horse from one hula hoop to another as quickly as possible. Participants observed that guiding the horse by walking next to him instead of in front of him was more effective. This activity represented the leadership development theme. And then in the third activity, one of the participants was to sit on the horse and another led the horse through an obstacle course. The person leading the horse keeps their eyes closed, and the person sitting on the horse gives verbal cues to navigate the obstacle course. The last activity represented the empowerment theme. And the QR code to the video is on the bottom here if you're interested in viewing it on your own time. So we sought feedback on this video and these potential EAP activities from youth who identified as having previously sought treatment for an eating disorder. Due to the time demands and constraints of COVID-19, we were able to formally interview one young person and their parent. Participants were sent the recorded video via email and asked to watch it prior to their interview over Zoom. And then the semi-structured interview was an opportunity to receive feedback on the 3 activities, as well as questions about logistics of an EAP program if it were to be offered. Overall, the participants identified that time with horses has been a motivator for them to recover from their eating disorder. For example, one parent described that their child's dietitian in the hospital developed a mantra for their child who was on a feeding tube. This mantra was "off tube on horse," which became an important source of motivation for the child in their recovery. The participants also accurately described seeing the 3 intended themes within the EAP activities. They described these EAP activities as valuable activities that families could really do together to promote communication about things other than eating disorders. Some logistical considerations that were brought to our attention was that time, location, and travel difficulties would need to be thought through, as some youth might need to travel long distances to get to barns. But overall, participants shared that they wished a similar program existed when they were going through their eating disorder program. For those who already had a relationship with horses, we heard statements such as, horses were my therapy. Like, they're probably my best outlet, and they still are. They always will be. So when I was really struggling, having EAP would mean the world. Other insights included that interacting with horses as a family taught them about communication and created a safe space and time to share in the calmness of horses, which created a stronger family connection. And I'll pass it back to Maya to finish us off.
Thank you so much, Katie and Angel. So indeed, as Angel said, we learned some very important lessons about offering EAP for children and youth with eating disorders. One was indeed the value of this, that we've confirmed that it's very important, it's desired, and it is a way to promote social healing and wellness for children and youth. Indeed, the feasibility issue is important for us to address. And when we think about offering this as a program in the future, tackling those issues around location, even time of day, transportation, and other structural barriers to really make sure that the children and youth who we hope can benefit from this work can actually access these services. And we've also really learned and grown and reflected on the importance of a team composition. So really important to include patients as co-leads in the development of EAP work, because that allows for the creation of a more effective and tailored program that has the insights and nuances built into the kinds of programming that we're hoping to offer. When we worked with our patient partners, they offered us some thoughts that capture some of the learning that they did, but really probably I learned the most from them. But for example, one of our patient partners, Kate, talked about the value of engaging in research, perhaps as healing as well. So by going through program design and trying to develop a program that would really heal and empower other people who've been in the same kind of situations, Kate talked about that was also an invitation to engage in self-reflection herself. And Maya talked about really having the research process be empowering and be a way to give back to the people who had helped support her. And both talked about the value of taking the lessons they'd learned within their therapeutic processes and applying them to the program design principles that we were using. This work wasn't just interesting to us as researchers, to clinicians, to the health authority, or to patients. It was also really interesting to the equestrian community. And this is an April 2020 article that was done by Horse Canada that talked about our project. And we're really excited about the conversation that's growing around this work. And we think about the future and what we can do next. And we're interested in continuing this work. We are in discussion with people who are thinking about land-based healing modalities with horses and working with Indigenous communities, and the use of EAP for other mental health concerns, such as eco-anxiety and climate change-related distress. So we're so happy we were able to share this work with you, invite you to be in contact with us, and look forward to the next steps in this journey with horses and humans.